Good evening, gentlemen. It's been a little while since we've spoken. This is the next project. I'm still waiting on some parts for that Coco 3, and then we'll do that. I promised that guy when he sold it to me that I'd do videos on it, and if I haven't forgotten about you, buddy. I'm just having trouble finding some parts, but we'll get there one of these days. But in the meantime, I kind of wanted to do that before I did anything else because I promised the guy, but it's been months. You know what I'm saying? So let's just do something, just to do something. So this is a Hallicrafters S-40B. I think it dates to sometime in the 1950s. It's a general coverage shortwave receiver. It uses vacuum tubes, of course. I'm going to restore this thing. As you can see, the dial strings are kind of foobar. The switches all feel fine. The rotary switch feels fine, I think. The pots need some cleaning. They're kind of scratchy feeling. That worries me. The band selector seems good and tight. I don't know if that's any indication of the contacts or not. Sometimes there's wafer contacts and those band switches have like plate voltage on them and they get all funky. I guess we'll see. And this one's a variable resistor. This one's a variable inductor. I thought that was kind of neat. We'll look at that here in a second anyway. But in any case, like, it looks nice in the front. Of course, it uses tubes, and these are interesting tubes. I assume that this is the rectifier tube over here, and it's a glass tube like you'd expect, but all the rest of them are these metal cased tubes. Kinrad, made in USA, 6SK7. So that's kind of neat. I don't have anything else with metal encased tubes like that. I assume the case is like grounded, and it keeps the interference down or something. I don't know, but power transformer, unlike that S-38. Did I ever upload that S-38 video? I may not have. That turned into a cluster F anyway. Yeah. I'll talk about that when I turn the thing over. It's got this multi-part electrolytic capacitor in here that'll be bad, I'm sure. I don't know if I'll try to restuff that or not, but the most worrying thing on this side is this tuning capacitor. It looks really grody. Let me try to center this and zoom you in, and we can look at it a little closer, maybe. How about that? Yeah, look at that grody thing. I can probably open it up a little bit here if I mean, it looks pretty funky, doesn't it? I don't know. I hope everything's fine. So this is a multi-part tuning capacitor. These plates over here, those are for the regular tuning dial, and then these few plates over here for the band spread knob. So it's all one unit. It doesn't use two different variable capacitors like that S-38 did. So that's kind of neat. But yeah, it's really filthy, and I don't know if that's just corrosion or dirt, but I guess we'll find out when we go to cleaning it. I don't want to hit that with an air compressor. I'm afraid I'll bend the fins on that capacitor. I'll probably see if I can get a really soft paintbrush or something, and maybe we can just brush all the dirt off, and then I can blow through the plates just with my mouth or something in a straw, instead of shooting it with the air compressor. I guess I could turn the regulator way down and kind of blow it out, but it probably needs some grease on those contacts too. And I don't know if you can see or not, the tuning capacitor is actually insulated from the chassis in several places by these rubber grommets, and they're pretty rotten. So those will have to be replaced. I think I've got some that are really close to being the right size, so hopefully we won't have to order anything for that. It looks like this bulb is burned out, but maybe it's not, who knows. And of course, there's no speaker. I guess you can't see that since I'm off the camera. But yeah, there's no speaker. I think it's a 6-inch speaker. I don't have any 6-inch speakers, but the manual is, if I'm recalling correctly, I think the manual calls for 3.5 ohm speakers. So I assume I can just hook like a 4 ohm car speaker up to that temporarily until I can get one. I mean, I'm not going to buy a speaker until we're sure that the radio works. You know, I've got 4 ohm speakers we can use in the meantime. So yeah, so let's turn this thing over, hopefully without mashing anything on the tube side. And look at that. So there's the inside. That looks a little. Let me put my pickle jar here to hold this up for you to look at. Hopefully it won't fall off the table. Wouldn't that be something? So that looks a little bit scary, right? But I don't think it's too bad. Adjust you there. So there are a lot of paper capacitors that'll have to go, and there are a bunch of these black beauties that'll have to go. They're probably bad. Hopefully I can test a lot of these resistors in circuit without having to desolder anything. See, I'll have to look back. I think I uploaded that S-38 video, but just in case I didn't. If you recall, when we did that S-38, I got way overzealous. And I was like, oh, let's rip everything out of the chassis and clean the chassis up and polish it and make everything pretty and blah, 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 blah. And then it was such a pain in the ass to put back together after that. That was really dumb. I'm not going to do that on this one. When I do this one, I'm just going to snip the wires as close to the capacitor body as possible. I'm going to take my new capacitors. I've got these orange drops to do this one with instead of those tubular ones that were super cheap and kind of shitty. I've got better capacitors for this thing. I hope they're better. But I'm just going to snip the leads off really close to the capacitor body and then just solder the new capacitor onto the old leads instead of actually taking anything apart. I think that'll be way easier, and we won't have nearly as much of a cluster F that way. So let's see what else in here. So there's a little bit of corrosion on some of these trimmer capacitors, but hopefully that, I mean, just on the part with the slot, right? But I don't think it extends to the actual like leaves, so hopefully they'll be fine. So yeah, I don't think this will be too bad. I think it'll be way more of a pain in the butt to restring the thing. Mr. Beefy wants to look at it too. Hey, Mr. Beefy, you better stay off of here when the high voltage is on. Yes, sir. You'll get cooked. What would I do there, and who would I snuggle with? That would not be good. No, sir. But these domino capacitors, I'm pretty sure those are all mica capacitors. They made some paper capacitors in that form factor back in the day, but I think they were a lot bigger, the paper versions of those domino capacitors. So I'm pretty sure those are all mica capacitors, and they'll be fine. And there are some inductors in here. I assume these are inductors and not wire-wound resistors. Maybe they are wire-wound resistors. I don't know. I'll have to look at the schematic and see. So I don't think it'll be too bad. It's a hell of a lot less complicated inside than that SX28. So hopefully I can, learn some from this project and then do that HT40 and then do that linear amplifier, and then we ought to have a really sweet AM setup, and then hopefully by that time I will be smart enough to do that SX28, because that'll be a sweet radio, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna put a 3-prong power cord on it too, and I don't know this thing. I assume that this transformer probably isolates the power supply from the chassis, but we'll have to make sure it doesn't have a hot chassis or something too. Surely it doesn't with that metal case, But who knows? Stranger things have happened. So I'm gonna try to start on it tomorrow if I have a little more time. So hopefully the videos will, won't be quite so slow. All right, thanks for joining me, gentlemen. If you have any wisdom to share with Mr. Beefy and I, Right, Mr. Beefy, that would be... Oh, no, don't get into the radio, buddy. I know it smells funny, but it's not for a cat. Yeah, if you have any wisdom you'd like to share, please do, because, like I've said a million times, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So, all right, cool. See you later, bye.